Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kigali, Rwanda for the 4th edition of Transform Africa, but most importantly, the first economic forum. The forum is expected to highlight potential cross-border initiatives for investment and partnership opportunities relevant to AfCFTA. The Transform Africa Economic Forum will precede the Transform Africa Summit. In its 4th edition, the Transform Africa Summit is a leading annual continental forum that convenes global and regional leaders from government, business, and international organizations to collaborate on new ways of shaping and accelerating and sustaining Africa's ongoing digital revolution. My name is Regis Isheja, and I'll be your Master of Ceremony. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for his opening remarks, Lamine Mane, Director at the UNDP Regional Service Center for Africa.
Thank you very much, our MC, Nyakubawa, President wa Republika y'u Rwanda, Your Excellency, President Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, Honorable Claire Kamanzi, CEO, Rwanda Development Board, honorable ministers and senior government officials from Rwanda and abroad, the representative of African Union, Mr. Strive Masiwa, Chairman, Econet Group, Dr. Amadou Touré, Executive Director, Smart Africa, Secretariat, Excellencies, Ambassadors, and members of the diplomatic community, representatives of the private sector, CEOs, and the media, dear colleagues from the UN family, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Let me start by saying to you all, Maramudze Neza, good morning, bonjour, à toutes et à tous. Your Excellency, Mr. President, it's certainly my great pleasure and honor to be back to Kigali and also to make this statement on behalf of UNDP at this economic forum of the 4th Transform Africa Summit. We are pleased, Mr. President, to see that since 2013, this summit has become a leading African forum that brings together global and the regional leaders from governments, businesses, and international organizations, as well as youth organizations, to collaborate on innovative ways of shaping, accelerating, and sustaining Africa's ongoing digital transformation. Allow me, Mr. President, to start by also noting that this year marks another important milestone. It's the first time that the Transform Africa Economic Forum has been introduced. I would like to start by saluting your leadership, Your Excellency, in the co-creation of this very important initiative, as well as for successfully hosting 3 editions of the flagship Transform Africa Summits. It's also in order to commend you, Mr. President, for working so hard towards bringing the process of the Continental Free Trade Area into fruition, which had been in the works for many decades. We in the UN family believe that the CFTA agreement has opened a whole new era and a vista for Africa's transformation. We would also like to acknowledge both African and global political and business leaders who have been working side by side with you in promoting higher levels of connectivity and digital revolution in the continent, including Strive. Our commendation also goes to Dr. Amadou and Honorable Jean-Philbert Saint-Gimana and their respective teams for working hard towards translating the vision of President Kagame and other African leaders for ensuring that Africa is not left behind in the rapidly moving global digital revolution. We would also like to thank all of you delegates and the participants for converging once again to Kigali from far and near to reinforce the partnership for Africa's transformation in general and assisting the continent to benefit maximally from the global digital revolution. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our collective journey towards the achievement of the Global Agenda 2030 and African Union's Agenda 2063, which are deliberately ambitious and transformative, has now been placed on the accelerated trajectory. The Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is one of the African integration flagship projects to deliver Africa's aspirations, alongside with the single air transport market and the free movement of people and goods. The signing of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement by at least 44 of 45 countries here in Kigali last March indeed is an important milestone for African economies at the time when we are facing increased challenges in the international economic system. We therefore believe that this economic forum is very timely and very pertinent. As Your Excellency noted a few weeks ago, the CFTA undoubtedly will create a wider market of more than 1.2 billion people with a combined GDP of 2.5 trillion. We in the UN family believe that it provides an important opportunity for Africa to step up the transformation of its economies and societies. It is worth recalling that the UN Economic Commission for Africa estimates that the Continental Free Trade Agreement has a potential to boost inter-African trade by as much as 35 billion, an increase of more than 52.3%. In this connection, the United Nations is very keen to support the implementation of the Continental Free Trade as it enables the achievement of multiple SDGs. To harness the potential of intra-Africa trade for socio-economic transformation, the region needs connectivity in several areas, notably physical, regulation and policy, finance, information, production, movement of people, and above all, digital connectivity. Focusing on this dimension alone, the unfolding fourth industrial revolution, which includes digitalization, is impacting all aspects of our lives and industries. While we appreciate the potential that digitalization offers in terms of transforming economies, we are also fully aware that Africa continues to face significant digital divide and benefiting less from increasing levels of digitalization. It is in this context that we see the very important role of the Smart Africa and this economic forum initiative. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, while we are yet to fully understand the impact of digitalization on economic development in Africa, taking only access to internet, for example, countries are registering significant gains by way of improving transparency, facilitating better governance, better health care, better education for all. Thus, it is possible to proactively shape the impact of digital revolution. Allow me, before I end, to highlight some of the critical factors that needs to be considered to realize the full potential of an Africa single digital market. And I believe this element should also be the focus of discussions over the next 3 days. First is creating an unwavering commitment for the realization of a shared vision of single digital market is key. Second, a clear and consistent regulatory framework is necessary to accelerate Africa's digital transformation. Third, it is important that African countries invest resources to increase the access to ICT technologies. Fourth, some studies are highlighting that even if Africa manages to expand access to ICT, to its population, it may not be able to utilize ICT to transform its economies fully due to low skill base. We should focus on how we can deepen and expand the skill base in the continent. Fifth, lack of reliable e-government infrastructure in the continent continues to pose significant challenges in doing business. In conclusion, Mr. President, Excellencies, I would like to reassure you that the UN family will be by your side and that of all the other African countries in supporting the efforts to accelerate the digital revolution in the continent. In Rwanda, as an example, we have launched many initiatives, including the Youth Connect. This provides an important opportunity for the young people to be connected to technology, to jobs, skills that will contribute to the transformation of the continent. Finally, allow me to thank you once again, Mr. President, for playing the lead role in this revolution. We believe that recognizing your humility, we would like to say you've been working very hard, and we want to acknowledge that and encourage you to continue leading this process in the continent. On that note, let me wish you all fruitful deliberations. Murakoze Chane, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Asante sana. Shukran. Obrigado.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mane. If you could kindly get back to your audience seats. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Strive Masiyiwa, Chairman and Founder at Econet Group, for his opening remarks. Thank you.
You don't have to take them so high. Good morning. Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Rwanda and Chairperson of the African Union, His Excellency Paul Kagame, distinguished guests, friends and colleagues. First of all, allow me to express my appreciation to President Kagame for answering our call as business people for this forum. There's nothing more exciting than when you say to a leader, this is what we want, and he responds so quickly. We talk of a continental free trade area, but who trades? Business people. We are the ones that will trade. I want to buy goods from Rwanda, export them to Kenya, move them to Nigeria. I want to be able to buy, I want a business person in Ghana wants to buy goods from Zimbabwe. It's not possible at the moment. That is the challenge that we have. African entrepreneurs, business people, African companies are currently finding it extremely difficult to trade. That's what it's about. The Continental Free Trade Area is supposed to facilitate that. And as long as our business people, our entrepreneurs, we don't have movement of goods and people, our continent will not prosper. We will not create jobs. It is simple and yet so profound. You know, I wrote to the young people who follow me on Facebook, Mr. President, you know I have this following, and I write to them and we start blogging to one another. Sometimes I get as many as 10 million in a week, and they're all entrepreneurs. And after our visit here, when the agreement was signed by the 44 African countries, I said to them, you know, some of the most important things in history, when the arc of history is recorded, no one knew that two young boys were running around in the fields trying to fly an aeroplane called the Wright brothers. But today we know the Wright brothers and we don't remember who were the president of America at the time. I said, this is one of those occasions. What those 44 leaders have just done in the arc of the development of this continent will go down as one of the greatest achievements post-independence. And we want to thank you, Mr. President, for answering that arc of history. It is time for our continent to begin to trade with one another. It is time for our people to begin to move freely across this continent. As citizens of this continent, we have the technology today to move goods, to trade in goods. We have to open up our transport corridors. This is what trade is all about. Thank you, Mr. President. Let us begin business now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masiyiwa. And now, for his opening remarks, the Executive Director for the Smart Africa Secretariat, Dr. Amadou Toure.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. Your Excellency President Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda and Chairman of the African Union, Mr. Strive Masiyiwa, Chairman of ECONET Group, Honorable Ministers, Heads of Delegations, Senior Government Officials, representatives of the international organizations, business leaders, members of the Diplomatic Corps, captains of the industry, distinguished participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you all to our very first Transform Africa Economic Forum, and thank you for responding to our invitation to this business forum, and we are delighted by the presence of His Excellency President Paul Kagame. Indeed, as most of you are aware, the President is also the Chairman of the United Nations Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development, and today the Broadband Commission is in town and having its meeting, its regular session that he's chairing. Even he was kind enough to take time off to come and join us in this important forum. Kigali today is the home of Africa's and world's most brilliant brains leading the ICT for development globally. Thank you, Mr. President, for your hospitality. Your presence here today symbolizes the importance you all place to the digital transformation of our continent and send a clear signal of your commitment to this transformation journey of Africa toward an information and knowledge economy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you a secret. The idea of this very forum was born from a discussion between His Excellency President Kagame and Strive Masiyiwa at the end last year of this summit here in this very place. They dreamed of together of having an economic forum for the ICT world. As you know, the leaders' primary job is to dream and dream big for their people. And they're there to dream. And they share that dream. When you share a dream, it becomes a vision. And I'm proud that my mission was to turn that vision into action, and here we are today. Thank you very much for coming. I would like to welcome you all here. The presence of so many captains of the industry is a testimony of your commitment to contribute to this tremendous transformation. And I'm happy to say to you that Africa is open for business. And I will tell you why. Ladies and gentlemen, on March 21st, 2018, in this very room, 44 heads of states and government made us proud when they signed an agreement creating a continental free trade zone for Africa, a historic agreement that will establish a zone of exchange that will foster more intra-African partnership and trade. The same meeting also enabled 27 countries to sign the Protocol on Free Movement of Persons, Rights of Residence, and Right of Establishment. Just think about it. A few months ago, on January 29, 2018, during the African Union Summit, we all experienced the launch of African Open Skies, the single market for air transport in Addis Ababa. It is this spirit that animated our visionary leaders 4 years ago when we met here in Kigali on October 29, 2013, during which governments, private sector, academia, and civil society collectively decided to transform Africa into a single digital market. Their commitment resulted in the adoption of the Smart African Manifesto, a bold and innovative commitment to accelerate sustainable socio-economic development on the continent and to engage Africa on the path to the knowledge economy through affordable access to broadband service and the use of ICT. And I can proudly say that from the open skies, we are now offering the open waves through ICT. With the single digital market, our leaders are envisioning one single digital market where borders do not matter anymore, where policy and regulation gap have been bridged, where citizens, business, and government can transact across borders under conditions of fair competition and data protection, where Africa can, as a bloc, attract large-scale investment for continental-wide business opportunities. Our estimate is $300 billion investment opportunity in Africa in the ICT sector alone in the next 5 years. So please come here and do business. We are open. This commitment and the unwavering support from our leaders is a great challenge to us, a noble challenge that is now at your fingertips. On this note, I would like to thank our sponsors for the Economic Forum, who, by joining us, demonstrated their partnership on this journey of leveraging ICT sector's sustainable growth to extend opportunities for innovation and job creation to our youth. Let me name them, and I want their logos to be on the screens. Econet Wireless, of course, as we know, Smart Africa's Platinum member, and represented by Strive Masiwa. Please give him a hand. By the way, for the fast internet connection you are experiencing here in this room, thanks Strive and his Liquid Telecom team here, they are providing it for free. I thank the Econet Group, represented by its CEO, Ade Ayeyemi. She's here in this room. Please give her a hand. UNDP Regional Service Center for Africa, represented by Mr. Lamin Mane, and UNDP Rwanda, represented by Mr. Fode Njai. Please stand up. This is just the beginning. This economic forum is set to grow in the future to become an annual rendezvous of business leaders and policymakers to chart the course of our continent. Mr. President, we are here because we share your firm belief that technology can help Africa reach the African continental free trade area goals faster and smarter. This inaugural economics session forum was exclusively open to the 1,000 platinum and gold participants that are part of the 4,245 registered delegates to attend the Transform Africa Summit. Those are the leaders that have braved the long distances to be here in Kigali and the rain this morning to be here in this audience. They are eager to listen to Your Excellency's remark. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage His Excellency President Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, Chairman of the African Union, Co-Chairman of the UN Broadband Commission, and Chairman of the Smart Africa, to deliver his remark. I thank you very much.
Please. Hello, good morning. One of the attractions for me to be here with you, one of the things that I was told this is a place where people don't have to wear ties. So it was one of the considerations. Distinguished audience, among you, political and business leaders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to join you for this very important discussion. I thought it was important to join you for a few minutes, not only to wish you a productive series of discussion, today, but also to let you know why the topic of integration is so timely. First, allow me to recognize Strive Masiwa for his proposal last year to convene an economic forum in advance of the Transform Africa Summit. Thank you, Strive. And for me, it was just a pleasure to be associated. I commend Dr. Ture and his team for making it happen. The support of EcoBank for this event is also appreciated. The idea I wish to share is that technological integration should be seen as the vanguard of economic integration more generally. Let me just repeat what many have done before. If you look at what is the purpose of integrating technology to serve all of us and our businesses and other things, and then people you know have complained about if you are moving from Kigali, a passenger on the plane, if you want to go to, let's say, one part of West Africa, whether you go to Conakry, to Abidjan, to Lagos, to Accra, to Dakar. I'm sure many in this audience have had close to a dozen stopovers. Half of them may be on our continent, and another half outside of our continent. Sometimes you have to fly from here, you go to Europe, maybe from one city to another in Europe before you come to another city in Africa, and then move to another city in Africa as well. So integrating all these things, when even people are talking about one common digital market or one common airspace or air transport market. I think what the purpose is to solve some of these problems. So when you are integrating technological integration that is talked about, I think it must be looked at holistically. When you are integrating our regions, our countries for the whole continent, all of these things should be coming to mind. I'm sure people know it here very well, know it better than me. Even when we are communicating, the traffic follows the same route as the planes I was talking about. Isn't it? Sometimes the traffic has to go to some place outside of Africa or places and then back to us. So what are you integrating if you don't include this? Why don't we have that on our continent, happening on our continent without having to pay for visa for the traffic to first go out of our continent and then receive it back? It requires a visa, which comes in the form of how much you pay. Is this something we can't address? We supposedly very proud Africans, business and governments, I think we need to work hard on that, and it's one of the things maybe people should be looking at so that we are able to have results as soon as we can. So as you understand, we still have a long way to go, but nonetheless, regional cooperation on technology has produced good results to some extent on our continent in the recent years. Meanwhile, other urgent integration projects have languished on the African agenda, sometimes for decades. We surely can find ways of speeding that up. That is beginning to change, and with such forums bringing so many people together with diverse backgrounds, I think we can make it happen faster. So we see technological cooperation happening as part of that story. But behind it, there has to be political will in real terms. Political will is not confined to the public sector. I think business leaders need that political will as well, because it comes with the thinking and what you connect with in the interest of our continent and our people. Technology comes with a common set of standards and a shared vocabulary as well, which is another positive. Our people, especially our youth, have to eagerly embrace the digital economy and expect to play a full part in it. Innovation is also anchored in the private sector in terms of both research and the distribution of products and services. On the government side, there has to be a positive trend of entrusting professional regulatory agencies with a mission to encourage this sector and regulate it in the public interest. That helps prevent politics from slowing things down. In other words, there is a natural ecosystem that facilitates cooperation among governments and partnership with the private sector, which of course we can't take for granted, but we have to work hard at it by everybody playing their part so that what we see in the results and outcomes will show us what has been behind it. Examples of successful regional integration, such as Smart Africa's focus on One Africa network, have helped lay the groundwork for even more ambitious projects, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area. It has helped simply by providing practical confirmation of the truth that we have everything to gain from working together, and also therefore being more connected. Today's discussions are therefore very much welcome. We will continue to advance on the digital transformation agenda championed by the African Union, Smart Africa, the Broadband Commission, as well as the many external partners here with us supporting these efforts. At the same time, let's build on that momentum to stay on course with implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area, which will unlock tremendous opportunities for our region and our world. I wish you a successful meeting and look forward to being with you again at the summit tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for your kind attention.